Hi, everyone. Today we're going to focus on one key strategy and an important exception to help you answer 2026 TOEFL listening questions that ask you to identify the appropriate response. The strategy is simple. Use tense as a clue. Tense is often a reliable guide. A question about a past event usually requires an answer in the past as well. But as you'll see today, there are important exceptions. And to explore this, let's look at an official ETS 2026 TOEFL listening question that has confused most of my students. The tricky question: why didn't Andy come to the business dinner? A. I just met his assistant. B. The cafeteria closes at 2 o'clock. C. He's working late tonight. D. Because I lost mine. Before I reveal the answer, think about what the question requires. It asks for an explanation, and because the question is in the past tense, many students assume the answer must also be in the past. Let's go through the choices. B and D are irrelevant. A looks okay because it's in the past tense, but it doesn't actually explain anything. For it to work, it would need something like, I met his assistant and she told me he had a family emergency. Without that, A fails to answer the question. C, on the other hand, does give a reason. He's working late tonight. But wait, tonight? The question is about a past event, so how can a present time answer be correct? This is where many students hesitate. A good tense but no explanation, or a good explanation but a tense mismatch. So which one is correct? To answer confidently, we must understand the principle of tense agreement and the exceptions when English speakers break that rule naturally and logically. When we talk about tense agreement, we're really talking about how English speakers naturally respond in conversation. In everyday speech, people often answer a question using the same tense as the question. For example, if someone asks, "Didn't you see the email?" a natural reply would be, "No, I didn't notice it." The question is in the past tense, and the answer follows that pattern. Or imagine someone asking, "Didn't you call the client?" You might respond, "I forgot, I'll do it now." Or, "Yes, I spoke with her this morning." Again, the question refers to the past, and the answer explains something that happened in the past. The same idea applies when someone asks for a reason. If you hear, "Why didn't he attend the meeting?" a natural answer would be, "He had another appointment." The tense stays consistent because the explanation refers to a past situation. But here's where it gets interesting. The answer doesn't always have to match the tense of the question. English speakers respond based on the meaning or intention, not just the grammar. For example, if the intention is simply to confirm a past action, simple past is natural. If the intention is to explain an ongoing situation or provide background, present perfect feels more natural. For a brief overview of how meaning interacts with tense, check out Dr. Nanhi Burns' video on 12 tense expressions. Consider the question, "Didn't you call the client?" If you only want to confirm whether the action happened, you can stay in the past tense. "No, I didn't." This gives a simple factual answer. No call was made. However, if you want to explain why the call didn't happen, the answer often shifts into the present perfect. "No, I haven't had time yet." Even though the question is in the past, the answer connects the situation to the present. You still don't have time, and that ongoing situation explains the past result. So the difference depends on your purpose. "No, I didn't" confirms a past fact. "No, I haven't had time yet" gives a reason that continues into the present. Both forms are perfectly natural in conversation, but the present perfect often appears in ETS questions because it expresses the reason more smoothly and clearly. Let's go through some official ETS listening questions and see how identifying the key word in each question can guide us to the correct answer. First, consider the question, Didn't I just see you in the library an hour ago? The key phrase here is just see, which points to a recent past event. This tells us the answer should describe what the person was doing at that exact moment. That's why past progressive works best. The correct answer is A, I was returning a book. Next, we have, did you attend the seminar? Here, the keyword is attend, which asks about participation in a past event. The clue is that the answer should explain why or why not. The correct response is A, overslept. Even a single word can give the necessary reason. For, didn't you bring the identification documents? The key word is bring. Since bringing something implies possession now, the answer should state where the documents are. That's why A, they are in the blue folder, is correct. Then, why did the team meeting get canceled? Focuses on the keyword canceled, clearly pointing to a past event. The answer should explain the reason for the cancellation, which makes C, it was rescheduled, the right choice. In didn't you book a trip to Australia? The keyword is book, a past action checking confirmation. If the answer is negative, explaining the present plan works well. So the clue is that the answer should correct the assumption or clarify, leading to D, I'm going to New Zealand instead. For why did Sharon relocate to Belfast? The keyword is relocate, indicating a past action. The answer should explain the reason for that past action, which makes D, she was offered a new role, correct. And finally, you managed to get to the concert, didn't you? Contains the key phrase managed to, which implies success despite a challenge. The answer should describe the difficulty or obstacle in the past, making D, it was a very long drive, the right choice. Now that we have a clear understanding of tense agreement and how the intended meaning matters more than just following strict grammar rules, we can tackle a tricky question. The correct answer is C. Let's imagine the scenario. It's the evening after a business dinner. Colleagues are chatting about the event, and one person asks, why didn't Andy come to the business dinner? Here, the dinner is already over. The event is in the past. But the question isn't just about when the dinner happened. It's about why Andy didn't attend. If Andy is still working late at the moment the question is asked, it makes perfect sense to answer, he's working late tonight. Even though the dinner is past, the reason for his absence is still true and relevant right now, which is why the present tense is used. This is a great example of how tense agreement in English is about meaning, not just grammar. Native speakers naturally use the present tense to explain ongoing situations, even when discussing past events. For example, why didn't Sarah come to class? She's feeling sick today. The sickness is still happening. Why didn't Tom join the meeting? He's traveling this week. The travel is ongoing. Why didn't your sister visit? She's working this weekend. The work is still in progress. In each case, the reason is still true at the time of speaking, so the present tense is natural. The same principle applies to our original question. He's working late tonight is the best answer because it matches the intended meaning and reflects a reason that is still valid, even though the event itself has already happened. That's all for today. Mastering the new TOEFL listening, identify appropriate response questions is critical for a high score, since 16 out of 34 questions, almost half, fall into this category, based on the 4 ETS official practice books. To tackle these confidently, you need to understand the core principles of appropriate responses that TOEFL is looking for. For targeted practice, proven strategies, and step-by-step guidance on when and why exceptions happen, sign up for Dr. Burns' TOEFL courses. Designed specifically for TOEFL students, these courses help you approach questions strategically and aim for scores over 100 with ease. Don't wait. Start mastering the tricky questions today. Visit www www.nanhiburns.com.